Welcome to the Better Brave podcast, where you get to hear unique stories from guests like you who choose to live bravely outside of their comfort zones. I'm Candace Dudley, your host, former teacher turned online business mentor and podcaster. This podcast is for you if you're committed to living life on purpose, no more following the rules of society. Go hit the follow button if you haven't yet, and tune in every Tuesday for a new episode. Okay, I just literally ran in the door from doing the most random errands probably to date of this year. Life is so amazing sometimes. I'm just going to give you my last 24 hours, and this is going to be the final episode of the Better Brave podcast for 2024. We'll be back in 2025, but I need to just honor my own feelings and the nudge that I'm having that I need to free up some brain space. I need to allow myself to not be creative and put pressure on that and try to force it. I have been in my own head chatting around, right? In your own head, just chatting with yourself about this final episode and the last couple weeks. And, Candace, you haven't been getting your episodes out every single Tuesday like you have for 3 straight years. What's going on? And just adding this pressure and chatting and thinking and trying to force out the inspiration to record a podcast. Now, I do feel inspired right now. That's why I came running in the door, and I literally am just hitting record. These are usually my favorite episodes where I don't have any notes and I'm just speaking from complete inspiration. So I booked a call with someone yesterday. She's amazing. She rarely does one-on-one calls, and I follow her on social media, and I saw she was opening her books for 2 weeks for one-on-one calls, a super discounted rate for 30 minutes. And I was like, yes, I need this. I have got to talk about my business and these things that I've been chatting about in my own brain that I'm getting nowhere on with someone else. Even I'll take it a step further with someone that's not my friend. Because yes, my friends are amazing. Yes, they're entrepreneurs. Yes, they are there and they're always willing to talk. But sometimes you get so close to those friends, it's almost like they're so close to your business and your ideas like you are that it's hard to see the next things. And sometimes a third party is just what it takes to do that. So I knew I'm going to jump into this call. And I had a really specific list of questions. I thought I was going to leave there with the rest of the year, marketing plan mapped out, yada, yada. And the call went a very different course, but it was the perfect course that it could have gone. And this morning, then I run my errands. And one of the things from the call she had said was, hey, we have to remember, because she has 4 kids, I have 3 kids. And I used to preach this, right? If you've been here from the beginning and you're an OG of the podcast, you know that I preach, do one good thing for yourself every day, especially if you're a mom. You definitely need to, get yourself off that back burner and yada, yada. So my kids have been home from MEA. In Minnesota, that means you just have a 4-day weekend. They've been here. I've been refinishing bunk beds for them, the full 9 yards. I haven't sat down. Literally my feet and hands are sore, from doing all of this. And so she had asked me what's something good that I've been doing for myself lately, or kind of challenged me to do something good. And so my plan this morning, when I was going to be out running these random errands, that I was going to hit up the local coffee shop that also has my Willow and Wren bracelets down there. They're an awesome locally owned coffee shop. And I'm I'm going to go get the Almond Joy Mocha iced. Okay, 10 out of 10. Go get it. I don't really drink coffee, but I'm that's the treat. That's my one good thing I'm going to do for myself this morning. I'm just going to start off the day spending a little money on me by getting that little drink, feeling good, whatever. Okay, this is where life is so crazy. So I go in there, and the person in front of me, she is ordering an Almond Joy Mocha as well. And she turns around and says, I don't think we've met, but I listen to your podcast. Now, if that's you and you're listening to this, please message me and tell me your name, because of course my introverted social awkwardness kicked in. I didn't even ask her name, but we're chatting, and I was yeah, usually I just get an episode out every single Tuesday. I've done that for 3 years, and I just haven't felt creative, and the kids going back to school, and it's just been a bigger transition than I predicted. And she's yeah, but isn't that what you preach, just to be really in tune and just kind of honor those ebbs and flows? And I was yeah, it was. And so literally drove home the couple blocks and flew in here, hit record. The advice we so easily give to others a lot of times is because we need it too. So the advice that I give on podcasts or things like that, it's usually because I've just gone through it and I've learned that lesson, and now I'm ready to share it. And so she kind of reflected back my own advice. I think had I not had that call that said go do something good for yourself, and then went and actually did it and went to that coffee shop, these things wouldn't have fallen in place, and I wouldn't have hit record this morning, and I would have still been kind of in that headspace of I don't know, whatever, that kind of feeling, which is never really fun to be in. Hopefully you can also just honor your ebbs and flows. If you're not feeling creative, just take the pressure off. Then let's not create right now. If you are feeling creative, then let's put the chores down for a minute and other things and allow yourself some space to be creative. another takeaway from that call that I had was her asking me, what's like one thing that if you're talking to your best friends or your husband or whatever, like what always comes up that you like just always end up talking about? And I was like, I don't know, my kids, like I don't really know. And then she's like, okay, well, let's say you can't work for a day and you have 8 hours, like what would you do? You have to just go do something that you would love. Like what would you do? And I'm like, I don't know, go for a walk by the lake. I mean, that's not 8 hours. I'm like, I don't know, read a romance novel. Like, cause I love to veg out doing that. But I'm like, I don't really know. Now that I've been thinking about it for like 24 hours, I could come up with some things, but the question still felt hard to answer. I don't know if it's because I'm so heavily in my mom of little kids era or what, but that kind of hit me yesterday where I was like, how can I not answer that question quickly? Like, what do you mean that you don't know what you would do? And so I've been reflecting on that. And so I hope if you're hearing that, I wonder if that's a hard question for you to answer, or am I just me by myself alone? But regardless, I hope you do one good thing for yourself, because I feel so impacted and so much more inspired and motivated and clear-headed from that call that I was able to have. I am opening my books for the next 2 weeks. It's October 22nd right now, depending on when you're listening to this, of 2024. I'm opening my books for the next 2 weeks, 30-minute calls, $20. Hop on. If you have a burning question, if you have something you're stuck on, like I was, where I'm just chatting in circles in my own brain and you just need to talk out loud to someone, let's do it. Book your call. If it's something specific to do with podcasting, setup, editing, Flowdesk, maybe Amazon KDP, those are all great places that I can help you with any aspect of that as well. So go ahead. I'll link that in the show notes. You can book that. I would love to give that back to people because that was so impactful for me just in the last 24 hours. And I just feel inspired to do it. So I'm going to do it. I hope, if nothing else, you leave this episode with some fresh grace that you can give yourself and release yourself of some of the pressures maybe that you've been putting on yourself, and just let yourself kind of ebb and flow as you need to and honor those highs and lows for the rest of 2024. And you can find me back here on the podcast in 2025. I will be looking for and taking requests on topics. I will be booking guests soon. If you want to be a guest, you have an entrepreneurial type journey story that you want to share about, let's do it. You can email me at betterbravewithcandace@gmail.com or DM me on Instagram is always an option, at Candace Dudley on Instagram. And just thanks so much for being here. Thanks for the likes, the shares, the reviews of the show, passing the show on to a friend, sharing it, any and all guests and people that have sent me guest referrals. I so appreciate you. It matters when you tell me in person that you listen to the podcast. It matters. I literally basically have probably gotten through recording 3 years worth of content because I just tell myself that I'm just talking and nobody actually listens. That makes it easier for me to record. So if a podcast is something that you've wanted to start, but you have just been held up, that works for me. So it's worked for me for 3 years. You just tell yourself that. But no, in all honesty, thank you so much for being here, for listening and all the things. Like, it is super important. It's one of those things that has been kind of my baby over this entrepreneurial journey, and it's grown with me. And if you start the beginning episodes, you'll know like how much I have changed my beliefs and views and things to get to this point. And I just appreciate all of you for tuning in and listening. Thanks, and we will see you in 2025. Hey, thanks for being here. I love being able to highlight entrepreneurial journeys because no two are the same. To grab my free sales page planner or to book a discovery call with me, head to the show notes. Finally, please leave a quick review so I can continue this work. See you next week.